If there's one thing I learned at Nations Cup, it's this. A Speedsoft replica has to be tough. And I don't mean joules, I mean body strength. Actual durability. Like bodybuilder strong. Anyway, I digress. After 3 days of sliding, diving and smashing my gun into the ground, the ASA printed FDM grip finally showed some cracks. To be fair, it survived 50 plus slides, taking the brunt of every landing like a champ. This didn't hinder me in any way, but as I said before, I like my stuff to be reliable and to last. So I set out to build a new replica. Same core that carried me through NSL Nations Cup 2025, but stronger, improved. This is the tank. This was the most important piece. My goals were simple. Indestructible, fit my receiver perfectly, room for battery and Polarstar FCU, space for a Cat 5 regulator. Simple, right? Yeah, not so much. I'm decent at CAD, but this was above my pay grade. So I tagged in my teammate, xMarinique, he nailed the design, and I added the finishing touches to make sure it could be CNC milled. The result looked amazing. By the way, Marinique's designs are insane. His Cult 3D page is full of grips and parts for different platforms. If you're planning a build, check him out, highly recommend. We first test printed the grip in-house, FDM, just to confirm fitment. Everything lined up perfectly, so I designed a receiver cap as well, since mine only came with a buffer tube attachment. All these were sent to a CNC milling on-demand service to get quoted.
I am never gonna financially recover from this.
We'll talk about the cost later, don't tell my wife. When these arrived from milling, I was blown away by the quality, well, 95% of it, and how well it all went together. They had the right amount of tolerances, so parts fit without hammering them on, but were not too loose. And seeing something you helped design, one of one, come to life in cold hard aluminium? That's a special feeling. You probably guessed it by now, but the regulator will be a Wolverine Cat 5, as all my MacLabs Flowmax were installed in other builds already. Another part that needs to be real stout is the receiver, so I went with a full billet one from Minecraft. Apart from some minor milling defects, which I bet you won't even pick up on, this receiver looks sick, is lightweight enough, but most importantly, won't flex one bit on the field, only on the haters. The selector is a random one from Power 6, nothing fancy. The trigger guard is a spare one from a VFC that happens to fit perfectly. This is the rear cap I designed without taking enough tolerance into account, so it had to be adjusted to fit. The edges align great, look good, and the screw head is recessed nicely. Last part going on the receiver is the magazine release. I used the Max one because I already had it, but Cerakoted it black as it did not fit the colorway of this build otherwise. Same for the hop-up chamber, it's a Max model one, but it also got the blackout treatment. For the bucking, I have a Super Macaron 60 degree from Maple Leaf, paired with a custom cut Lambda barrel, 6.1mm in diameter, 160mm length. At the heart is the Polarstar Fusion engine. 14 years old and still one of my favorites. Downsides? Price and air consumption. It uses about 35% more air than an F2, meaning fewer shots per tank. But in tournaments, that's not an issue. I just bring an extra tank for training days. What I love is the feedback. With a properly tuned trigger spring, plus a Gorilla Fusion engine board, the response is insane. Simply because of the feedback provided by the solenoid valve and poppet. It's also super robust, being a whole gearbox per se, milled also out of aluminium. Yeah, I see a pattern forming here. Trigger for this is a Max Model B, as I found I can shoot the fastest with this shape in various ways of touching the trigger. Now the front, probably the most abused part of the gun, since it hits the ground first most of the time. I went with a carbon handguard, 38mm outer diameter, 35 inner. Currently, the handguard is attached to the barrel nut with 4 screws. I'm still deciding if I prefer that look or just gluing it directly. I turned a custom thread adapter on the lathe, bonded with JB Weld, and let me tell you, JB Weld is no joke. I've never broken a carbon to aluminum bond with it. If I ever need to salvage the adapter, I'll end up cutting the carbon tube instead. 2 more custom pieces I milled myself, outer barrel stub, just to position the hop-up chamber, and front cap for the carbon tube. Last, the tracer is an e-shooter flare BT, lightweight and compact. Let's put it back together. Now that it's fully assembled, we can check it on a scale and see the weight. Compared to my Mac build, my ARC, and to my lightest setup. As you can see, it's the heaviest out of all of them, but not by much. And the full aluminum build gives me enough confidence to overlook the weight gain. It's time to break this down and look at some prices. The grip ended up costing me around €300 with shipping, which is not bad for a custom piece single production run. I did not make the back cap in aluminum, as the shape was pretty complex, the price was astronomical, and is pretty strong in FDM print. Worst case, I'll just print this in MJF if I have to. The price is comparable with other grips present on the market, so I'm totally okay with that. A Cat 5 regulator is available for €160 usually in any shop. The selector cost me probably €3, I can't even remember. A trigger guard can be found for around €10 to €15, depending on the style you want. The back cap was €35 plus shipping, which brings us to the receiver. This bad boy retails for €400 at Minecraft, so it's a hefty part of the budget. Max sells the magazine release for around €28, and the trigger was €30. Coming around to the core of this build, the Polarstar Fusion engine. If you can still find it brand new, it will set you back €690, which was the most expensive part of this build, as it usually is with HPA engines. The Gorilla trigger board costs €30 directly from Gorilla's shop, add an HPA battery for €10, the barrel nut I cannot price as it was a spare thrown in a drawer somewhere, and the carbon tube came in a set of two 500mm pieces for around €29 on AliExpress. Since I have one piece left, we'll call that 15. The e-shooter tracer is available everywhere for €80, and I cannot really price my time on the lathe and mill, making the thread adapter or outer barrel front piece. This brings the total to €1,791, excluding all the shipping. It's a pricey piece of kit, but when I take into consideration how great, straight and fast it shoots, on top of being 100% Dexter slide-proof, I am happy I built it this way. And that's the tank. Now I want to hear from you. Has your gear ever let you down on the field because of a failure point? Drop your stories in the comments, I'm curious. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, or you're noticing the improved video quality, hit that like button and subscribe for more builds. See you in the next one.